Mike Butcher from TechCrunch, and I hope you're having a great tour. It's such a great conference. I come every year, and I want to say well done, Nico and Kirsten, for putting this together. It's a great team. Max, Tayenthal, N26 has been a real rocket ship over the last few years. You launched this challenge to bank in 2013, originally Berlin-based. You recently released some new figures, didn't you? What did you hit? How many customers are you at now?
Yeah, I think latest release was just a couple of weeks ago. I think it was like 3.5 million customers and 1,300 employees. I think the last couple of years, about every 8 months, we doubled the number of customers. Also, every 8 months, we doubled the size of the team. Plus, we also, I think, for one of the first times, we also released some transaction figures. I think we're seeing like about 400 transactions every minute, like several transactions every second, and about 2 billion euros in transaction volume every month.
Fantastic. I mean, yeah, it's been an interesting time for fintech. It's challenger banks have been appearing in Germany and also in the UK and across Europe actually in the last couple of years. But you know, you're growing very quickly. But you know, do you really feel that you'll be able to keep this growth up?
I think from the beginning at N26, scalability was a very important concept. Like already when we started the company, the vision behind N26 was to build the first pan-European bank. So we're the only ones in an extremely fragmented banking world that onboard customers all over Europe. So we have like banks that focus on Spain, banks that focus on France, and so on. And we are doing like business throughout several countries. That vision has become bigger. We also announced that soon we're going to expand to the US. Today, we want to build the first global like retail, the global player in retail banking. And I think scalability has been a very important part of the N26 model. So whatever we are taking for us, the way we're building our systems, it shouldn't matter. And that's a big difference compared to traditional banks. It shouldn't matter whether we sign up 50 customers tomorrow or like 100,000 customers tomorrow.
Do you feel that you're capitalizing on the withdrawal from the retail banking space of some of the bigger players, in traditional players who really don't want to deal with the likes of you and I, and at the same time the rise of the new millennial and generation and now gradually Gen Z, who really just want to run everything off their phone, I guess?
I think that's a good question, and I think I also like shared our position that at various occasions. We believe financial services is the area most ready for disruption. When we started to work on N26 in 2013, we actually realized that it hasn't much changed today. You have like the traditional banking players. No one is providing a great user experience. Basically, if you think about the interfaces of Sparkasse, Deutsche Bank, HSBC, they pretty much all look the same and also very much provide a similar user experience. At the same time, we were observing a massive shift in user behavior, and shift, like any kind of shift, regulatory shifts, shifts in user behaviors always are a great opportunity like for startups, for modern technology. It's always an opportunity for disruption. What we were observing in the banking space was a transition from offline to online to mobile. Obviously, like it's a no-brainer. It's a transition you have seen in many other industries. So people used to go to the bank branches, then they did bank on the browser. Now more and more customers do mobile banking. But if you look like what's the focus of most of the traditional banks, they're still like investing heavily in the branch networks. And as soon as a growing number of customers, perhaps like more than 50, 60, 70% today of the customers are not going to the bank branches anymore, this is not a factor of differentiation of yourself anymore, but like the only thing a growing number of customers is going to perceive is just like the look and feel of the online and mobile banking interfaces, and we always found the traditional banks were very poor.
Yeah, challenger banks have really sort of changed the game by creating this wonderful product that's user interface design is really shone through, and the traditional banks have had problems, as we know. But I mean, if we compare you with some of your peers, shall we say, Monzo, I think, is on roughly 1.7 million, about 2 million. Revolute, a similar kind of a play, has on 5 million. you've said in the past that you don't think this is a market where winner takes all, but surely you must feel a little bit concerned that you have these very, very high-powered competitors in the marketplace.
Yeah, I think we are not afraid of competition. We are really looking even at other players. Like I personally, I haven't looked at the Monzo product at all, and like the last time I was looking at Revolute was like, I think 2 years ago. When we started the space, it was quite obvious, massive opportunity. I think also the cost of launching like a new bank has decreased significantly. I think the cost of like building a trustful brand has also decreased significantly, so it was to be expected that there will be other players entering the market. In general, for me, it's also not a bad thing about it. Like, those other players, they also want to like change the way people do banking. They want to bring a modern product to the people, and they want to like place a competition to other players. I think we had a clear strategy from the beginning, and basically building the pan-European bank or building a global bank. It's a thing that's very easy to be put like on a sheet of paper, but in the end, it's a question like how well do you execute, and like in the end, the customer will decide.
But if I was on your board, I would be a bit concerned that you weren't looking at your competitors' apps. Why have you made that decision?
I can, like I said it before, I say it again. It's an honest answer. It's a lot of things that keep me awake at night. Competition is not one of them, and it's also not the major concern.
You're that confident.
Pardon me?
You're that confident.
I can tell you, like it's many things that keep me awake at night. Competition is still not one of them. I think you have like literally like billions of customers on the market that's going to change away from the traditional banks. We are not so much concerned about other challengers. We're also not so much concerned about other technology companies. We're also not concerned about traditional banks. I want to build a company with 100 million plus customers, and that means I have to think about how can I win like 3 million customers from Sparkasse or 4 million customers from HSBC. To get specifically to answer on the other challenges, like how is the approach of N26 different? I think one, we're very much obsessed with user experience. I think we have been doing what we're doing like longer. Like I think it's a lot for us. We're very much product-focused company. I think we also have like a bigger range of products. I think two, we have, and that's very much in the genetics of this company, we had from the beginning a very international approach. N26 has a global vision that's at least not shared by Monzo, but also today we provide like a product in 5 different languages. We have customer service in 5 different languages. We are further in that way. We also know that Revolute is, like, as far as I know, is also like going or has like a global strategy. And I think the third difference is like trust. We got our bank license much earlier. We started earlier, got our bank license earlier. And I think market-wise, like those two players have focused on the UK. I think in every other market we are in, we are clearly stronger than Revolute and Monzo. We don't see in any other market.
What does keep you awake at night then?
I think it is, it's really, I think one is the challenge to find like all the people we need. Like if we take a whiteboard here and we make a brainstorming in that round for 1 hour, we have like 50 no-brainer projects in terms of launching new markets, in terms of launching new features, in terms of expanding the product range. It's all no-brainers, and we just don't have enough people to tackle that. So I think recruiting and bringing in the right people, incentivizing them, putting the right tools in their hand is one of our core concerns. I think the second point, definitely, there's a lot of like banks that have an outsourced technology company. N26, by genetics, is a technology with an outsourced bank. Like a lot of the competitive advantage comes from the fact that we are more pragmatic. I think we see things a lot more from a user perspective than traditional banks. And I think it is highly regulated environment. I think it's a challenge to really keep this agility of a startup.
You're a pure technology company rather than just being a bank. You mentioned Revolut in your point there. Revolut obviously had recent controversy in how it was attaining new customers, effectively almost using multi-level marketing tactics. Very controversial. They pretty much had to apologize. What do you think about how they behaved?
Yeah, I don't want to like blame so much competition, talk so much about competition. I think the founders of Revolute, because I don't think it's a fair game in the end. Like we are almost too much, like we are very much focused on ourselves. I think 2 years ago, Deutsche Bank was launching their new app, and some journalists asked me, are you worried because like the new app of Deutsche Bank looks so great? And I answered, and I think it's true, it's probably true until today, I doubt that anyone in my organization has even looked at the app of Deutsche Bank. So we are focused on ourselves, we have a clear vision, we are executing, and we really believe, like if we have like millions of customers, we treat the right way, and that love N26 and use N26 for like the daily banking business, we will eventually be successful. And I think in terms of treating, like I know like Revolut and their leaders were quoted like how they are treating their people. We don't believe in treating our people the same way. I think the engagement of our team is very important for us. I think every startup, every founding team has something they're really passionate about.
Do you think they overstepped the mark by talking about how they were pushing everybody over the weekends and, you know, can't leave the office? What sort of culture does N26 have internally?
I just wanted to get to that. I think there's some things we as an organization and we as a team, and also my co-founder and I, are very passionate about. I think really one important thing is recruiting and HR. We really want to bring in and retain the best people possible. And I think people, like if you have like these really talented people, they only function because you give them like a bigger cause. I think our people are working well and working hard because they want to like serve the customer, because they want to change the way how the customers are doing the bank business. I think that's one thing in our culture. I think, and while I say, like there's a couple of startups in the Berlin market where I don't know, it's all about, you know, getting well together, all about like the soft facts. That's not N26. We are creating a high performance culture, but obviously we're not pushing our people like to an extent where they don't feel comfortable. I think in terms of culture, what's else important for us, we are a very much product focused company. Perhaps like we believe to think ourselves as the most product focused company in Germany and in Europe. Like I can also elaborate on that a little bit. Data is the third thing we're really passionate about. We want to take data-based.
Do you have a diversity policy in your company? Do you hire for diversity?
Yes, we hire for diversity, and I think we're proud to say, like I think 3 years ago, if you looked at our leader team, it was about like, I think, like it was all male, white individuals. Today, I think non-found, I think 50% of our C-levels or 40% of our leader team is actually female. We obviously do like gender pay gap analysis. We're looking at all levels that women are like equally represented, but obviously not also women, like we're looking for all kind of diversity, and we're also proud
LGBTQ, etc.
Just like give you a feeling like, and I think it's the same, it's similar for a lot of Berlin companies, and I think a lot of companies are taking that also serious. We have 1,300 people on the team today. Perhaps 5% of those people were born in Berlin. Less than 10% are German. We have 60 different nations. Like strongest group of employees is actually French, and so on and so on. So we think diversity is important, and we also hire that way.
Well, you'll obviously, because of Brexit, a whole bunch of English people will be moving over, I'm sure, soon. What about product? How are you going to be improving the product itself, right? You have a great app, but I mean, where can you go with that? What else can you do with that?
Yeah, I think it's also like, because I was just about to finish my last question, like, you know, culture about N26, sure. And I think that taps very nicely into that, because I wanted to say the fourth thing we're really passionate about is our customers. So basically, for every decision we are taking, we're putting like the customer first, and we are really like, it's an easy thing to say, but like whenever we do something, whenever we prioritize something, and obviously we're a small organization and we need to prioritize according to something, we really think about like what is really generating a customer benefit. Strategy has changed. I think I was sitting here on stage like just after launch, like 4 years ago, I was actually also asking in the group, like who has heard of N26? It was about 50% of the room, like 40% of the room, 10% were customers. I'm sure that has changed.
Should we ask how many people are N26 customers out there? About 30% maybe?
Yeah.
It's not bad. Are you all happy? Happy with that? Yeah? Any criticisms? No, don't worry. We'll ask you later. No. Send your criticisms of N26 onto there and I'll read them out.
Thanks. I have to say, like just one qualifier, I know we are living in a bubble. Like if you live in my bubble, if you're living in a similar bubble, you think everyone is banking with N26. If you'd like talk to the expats coming to Berlin, it's hard to find anyone who's not banking with N26. In Berlin, Mitte, I think we have like out of 1,000 people living there, we have 100 active customers. Sorry, we have 200 active customers, constantly increasing. So obviously we know we're strong in certain areas, like that's definitely an audience we're strong in, like that's early adopters that like appreciate a good user experience. Obviously, we have 3 million customers out of 400 million accounts in Europe, so we're actually a small player.
It does sound to me like things are going well. You describe the company in glowing terms, but the Financial Services Authority, BaFin, recently detected some deficiencies in an audit of the app, and you have had to answer those and check those security issues. Where are you now with that?
Yeah, I think to be precise, it wasn't anything related to the app. It was more like, how do you do certain back-end processes, how are you doing in terms of scalability? And I remember in terms of prioritizing, we had discussion, first we have to say, obviously compliance is very important, building trust is very important, the BaFin and the German parliament, as well as other parliaments and other regulators, define the rules of the game, and you either stick to these rules or you can go home and do something else. Like what was in the past, what's definitely correct, there's sometimes a trade-off between usability on the one hand side and compliance on the other hand side. Like I sometimes give the example, if you ask your customer for 3 pins to authorize a transaction, it's a very safe way to author authorization.
Would you ever push compliance to push the product?
What is true, we are 100% compliant, and in a way, some of our competitive advantage compared to some of the traditional players is coming from regulatory arbitrage, but it's not that we say we want to be 50% compliant, but we are 100% compliant, while some other player might be 150% compliant. And it's quite hard to have a good user experience if you act like this. So definitely, we are putting the customer first, user experience, but at the same time, we fully understand that we have to also scale up all our systems in the back end. And I think why BaFin is looking at us very much, because we obviously by far extend the fastest growing bank they're regulating. And they also have a risk-based approach. And when you're a small bank, they're not looking so much at you. And I think in terms of the reach of the PR, in good things and in bad things, N26 has a bigger reach. And just we realized we have to be more compliant than others. It's like Uber needs to be more compliant, more safe than any other, say, taxi player in the world.
You've obviously scaling up your traditional banking services, but companies like Revolute are now offering cryptocurrency as well. Is that something that you are looking at? When would you launch cryptocurrency services?
It's a good point. And coming back to my last question here, in terms of launching new products, we are kind of asking, we're very close to the customer, and we're asking our customers in how we prioritize features. Talking about cryptocurrency, if I ask one of our customers, do you want to have a way to share your account with your girlfriend, or to share your account with some friends, or share expenses and so on, or do you want a crypto wallet? I know what's the answer. Obviously we are prioritizing those things, and for crypto, my personal opinion, and I think my co-founder and I have said it before, for me, it is an asset category like others. I think at one point in time, we will give our customers an opportunity, how to buy, whatever kind of asset category they want. It's actually not a transaction currency, and it's also launching a crypto wallet is not solving a substantial problem the majority of our customer has, and we are working on projects that are making the product better throughout the market for most of our customers.
You don't think that you're leaving customers on the table by ignoring them in that way?
I think the product we are building, we have to prioritize, and we have to work on things, features, products that are attractive for most of our customers. Obviously, we know we are also much bigger groups we leave behind. N26 is probably not a bank for everyone, but it's definitely a bank for a bigger and bigger becoming audience.
You have raised multiple rounds of funding. You've been approached by banks in the last couple of years, obviously. That probably a few banks wouldn't mind acquiring you. What do you say to those kinds of offers?
I think my co-founder, you can build a startup one or the other way. My co-founder and I, we decided very early in the days, we don't want to see N26 being sold for a couple of million euros to another bank. We have a very big vision, and we have investor pool that share that vision. We want to build the biggest financial institution, the leading financial institution for digital natives like worldwide. It's a big vision. It needs a lot of money, and we are just measured by the size of that vision. I think we're just at the beginning, and we're also not in the business to distribute dividends to our investors anytime soon. I think we still see a lot of way to go, and we are not for sale for many years to come.
You heard it here, so that's that. Don't go trying to buy N26 just yet. You're Austrian?
That's right.
I gather that you guys are creating a big office in Vienna.
That's right.
What's the strategy behind that?
We are based in Berlin, but we are, as I said, we are not a German company, we are a European company. And now we started to build up other offices because we just realized we are hiring, we are recruiting most of our talent pool internationally anyways, and we want to sharpen our profile as a global employer. We want to tap into the local talent markets. Today we have a couple of offices in Berlin. We have one office in Barcelona. We're opening another tech hub in Vienna. And it's also a little bit uncorrelated. Barcelona and Berlin is similar, but also the one a little bit more Mediterranean, the other one a bit more Nordic. I think Vienna is it taps a little bit in the Eastern European markets. And I think the good thing about Vienna, we believe, is that once you hire people, they also stay with you a little bit longer. While in Berlin, it's usually a place where a lot of people come to live for some years, which is great, but they're not, most of the people are not staying here for 10 years plus.
Right, so you're using Vienna to tap into those talent
Yes.
from Eastern Europe,
Yeah.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
I see. Anywhere in particular?
I think wherever we see talent coming from all sides. I think also if you look to Eastern Europe, I think the share of people that are actually doing tech studies is higher, and in general, even the reputation I think of tech studies is higher. So we have hired a lot of great people there, and Vienna is a place many of them find very attractive.
And you, prior to N26, by the way, why is it called N26?
It is actually our first office. It's two stories. It came both together. Before it was called Number 26. Some of our older customers might remember. It's number because it's a product that's related to numbers. And then 26, it's actually a Rubik's Cube has 26 small cubes. And it's impossible to solve the Rubik's Cube if you don't know how. And it's quite easy if you have the right formula. And we say we have the right way, the right formula to make something easy, which is unnecessarily complicated. Plus, Unter den Linden 26 was our first office.
Unter den Linden N26. Okay, well there you go. Now you know. Okay. You were previously in things like professional services, Booz & Allen, Booz & Company. You were at. Do you feel that was entrepreneurship but kind of a calling for you, or did you thought, right, this is a good idea, let's flip into startup mode?
Yeah. I tried a lot of things after my studies. I studied business administration and law. I was doing consulting. I was doing corporate, big corporation, assistant to a board member. I was doing a total career pivot. I was actually working as an M&A lawyer before founding N26. And I can say for me personally, while founding a startup has never been an idea back in the days. I was never exposed to entrepreneurship during my university. But after doing it now for 6 years, it's by far the most meaningful thing I've ever done, pretty much in every dimension.
You mean you didn't like being a consultant?
I was staying for 1 year, if that answers the question.
Okay, that's the answer you got. You're a skier?
That's right.
Yeah, is that your thing?
I think it's most of the Austrian thing. We are actually passionate. It's also my co-founder was actually working as a skiing instructor before we founded the company.
Is that how you met? On the
no,
slopes?
we are school-time friends from Vienna.
From back in the day?
Yeah.
And, well, it's been fascinating talking to you because when I meet entrepreneurs like you, we can see the real passion come through, the focus. And I hope it serves you well in the future. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, Max Tayenthal from N26, thanks very much.
Thank you.
And see you later.
Thank you.